I still only take half my shot at a time, so that hasn't changed.
And then I guess we're gonna try this shit now.
Oh gosh.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Banquet Boys. Today we have Alyssa Salome.
Hi.
What's up?
Sup?
She's a good friend of ours. She's a heavy practitioner in yoga, longtime bartender friend,
Jewelry designer.
jewelerist. Is that the word? No?
Yes.
That's the word?
No.
Jewelerist?
Jeweler. No, jeweler is the guy that sells.
No, that's Johnson
jewelry,
Jeweler.
right?
He just wants to be your. He doesn't want to be your fucking friend. He wants to be your jeweler.
It depends
What
on.
an asshole.
Yeah, fuck that dude.
It depends on the category of jewelry that you're making. I
The
believe.
category.
I'm more of like I would consider myself a metalsmith.
Okay, listens to Slayer
No,
once.
no, that's the thing. When I was in high school, college, like I took metal. When I took metals 1, 2, and 3,
Metals
you
and
were-
jewelry making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like
It's called like metallurgy or whatever.
metallurgy. Yeah. Wait, no, I think metallurgy is a whole different thing. Because I think Josh Paul went to school for metallurgy. Yeah, like this is like learning how to craft with metals. I think metallurgy is more of the exploration.
When you're
of
like
that.
forming and forging by hand metal, then you're a metalsmith. If you're adding stones and making it wearable, then you'd be a jewelry maker. But like a jeweler is sort of more like fine jewelry. So like doing really intricate
Diamonds.
settings and like precious gemstones and like I don't
Rubies.
fuck with that stuff.
Emeralds.
Is it too early in the video to say the F word?
No.
You're not monetized yet.
Yeah, actually. Well, no, I can edit. I can like blink it out.
Okay.
Yeah, you can say the F word all day. You can say it all day.
You're
I
not
just
even
gotta blink it out.
monetized yet. You gotta
Okay,
have
well,
like
fuck. We're trying to like
2,000
fucking
followers.
fucking goddamn fucking monetize. Fucking damn, goddamn.
I mean, you could consider yourself a jeweler if
Trying
you
to get that
wanted
Raid
to.
Shadow Legends money.
I consider myself more of like a metalsmith, jewelry maker, jewelry designer, I guess. Like I use all my own designs and everything is handmade by me and every piece is handmade. I don't have any sort of system. They do exist, but I don't have a system where I mass produce anything.
Do you remember the coolest birthday gift you ever got that I gave you?
I do, and I love it. And I still have some, like, I package them I put them in my packaging.
Hell yeah. I bought her for her birthday.
It's a beautiful gift. Like one of the most beautiful gifts I've ever received, honestly.
It's a sticker, but it's like for her like jewelry shit. And it looks really cool.
You didn't just give me, like, he got one of our friends to do a line drawing of me making jewelry off my Instagram.
I took a screenshot of her, like one of her videos where like it looks cool because she has like she has like these like tongs, I guess, right? Or like little tweezers. And she's like holding up the ring, but she's like looking at it and like it's there. And then on the sticker, like everything's black and white, but the ring is gold. And then
Yeah,
it, like, has
it's
her,
really
like, shit.
cool.
It's really cool. Yeah.
And so
I was
then
like-
he made the drawing and then you got them turned into stickers, which is like so sweet and
I
beautiful.
was all
Like
stoked about it. I was like, hell yeah.
it's like so dear to my heart. Like I love those stickers and I put them in my packaging when I
Hell
send stuff out to people.
hell yeah.
Nice. How long are you
Alex-
doing it for?
I don't know, what day is it? 2021. So I
June.
learned
2,463 days.
I was also an art major in college, Darren.
What college?
I went to New Mexico State University.
Oh.
I wasn't gonna go to college. I was going to move to New York and just like figure it out on my own, but my parents did not like that idea.
Damn millennial and your avocado toast.
Yeah, so I really didn't have a college plan, and then I was just like, well, I'm just gonna go here and do what I know I can do for 4 years. And I loved art. I mean, I was in high school, I was working on art portfolios all the time and had won some awards, and I mean, it's what I liked to do, but I was mainly a drawer and a painter. I wanted nothing to do with graphics, which I'm kind of kicking myself now because as far as making money goes anyway.
Also,
But it felt a lot of like, it felt way more soul sucking. And I just like can't sell out when it comes to like my own creativity and the stuff that makes me really happy. I don't like to just do stuff for money. So like at that point, I mean, I like,
You
I
wanted
like
to
doing
be
stuff for money. Like I
wanted to
like
be a
getting
graphic
paid for my
designer that calls it
art.
for money.
But yeah, like making logos and like trying to please your clients all the time, like felt like I would just get frustrated a lot and not love it. Anyhow, I took some metals classes there learned quite a few skill sets, but I didn't love metals as a process when I was in college. I was like, I'm a drawer and a painter, and this is what I understand. 2D stuff, just like paint on canvas, charcoal on paper, makes sense to me, right? It was quite a bit later after college that I started doing jewelry design. My aunt, who was a big influence in my life, her and my cousin owned a jewelry store, but it was more of like a stone jewelry fossil. Like they moved it around to a couple very touristy areas and did pretty well. And she would always give me jewelry. And then when I started buying my own jewelry, I just kept saying, I was like, I know how to do this. Like, I know how to solder. I have ideas for what I want to make. And I couldn't find anything on the market that looked like what was in my head that I was looking for. So I just started I invested some money in a very small starter setup, a small torch, just like a soldering setup, some hammers, all the stuff that you need to just kind of do basic metal work. And I remembered all my skills and like the stuff I didn't remember. I bought some books or would look up on YouTube and just kind of retaught myself a lot of the stuff. But I had some soldering skills and a little bit of gem setting skills. It's not the easiest thing to do. It's actually a very difficult task. Not difficult, but it takes a lot of practice. Like it takes a lot of technique and I guess like the little intricacies of just like learning how to use the tools and your muscles to set stuff in a way that's done well, and you're not like marring up your metal or your gems. Anyhow, I just started hammering away, like literally. I like a lot of textured work and I hammer stuff a lot. It's quite therapeutic.
You like to get hammered too.
Yeah, I like to get hammered. Oh, not so much anymore. COVID did a number on me for sure. I hit it home a lot and I drank a lot for a while during the beginning of quarantine when we didn't know what was going to happen to the world. And it felt really scary, but I've cut back a whole lot. But anyway,
it had the opposite effect on me.
So when you said that, like when you started like your college career, and then you were more of a drawer, and you didn't really understand like sculpture or like metal making, was it because like when you came to drawing and you said it's like, all right, I want a curved line, you could just be like, meh, and then you just draw and it's done, right?
Yeah.
And here, like when you're doing metallurgy or whatever, it's like, or jewelry making, it's like, I want a curved line. It's all like, that's gonna take a while because I gotta fucking I gotta heat the metal. And I gotta like bend it, and then if I wanted to attach to another line, I gotta put like little beads under it, and then heat it up, and it's like, oh cool, they all melted, so that means it's soldered, right?
I feel like I remember when you were taking your metals class, because I feel like we talked about it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of fun. I want to go back.
It's so fun, but it is a lot of trial and error, and it totally just depends on your materials. Like some metals are much harder to manipulate than others. And it just depends on like what you're starting with. So you can get metal in a sheet form, which is great if you're doing flat work or you're doing rings. Wire's also good for rings and for some other stuff. Like when you're really trying to get a lot of detail and like very small details that are more carved out and look more sculptural, it's a totally different technique. You can do some of that by hand, but most people do that with casting.
Because you made didn't you make a ring that was like all braided like wiring or something like that, or like earrings that were braided wiring or something like that?
I mean, probably. I've made a few.
Because those are like that process looks fucking meticulous as shit. Like
there are some. It depends on like it just totally depends on the design and what you're trying to do. And what gets meticulous is so if you're working with flat sheet metal, is you have to hand saw. And if you've ever seen jewelers' saws, they are just like.
And if you're as rough as I am, they snap all the goddamn
You can't manhandle the jeweler's saw. Like the jeweler's saw tells you what to do. And the blades for the saw are just so thin. They come in different sizes, so you can you can get further and saw harder metals a little easier. If you're trying to do more intricate cuts, you have to get a smaller jeweler's saw, or smaller grade.
Is there a reason that they're better than just like going to Home Depot and getting like another little like a tiny saw that you can use?
They don't sell tiny saws at Home Depot.
No. I wish I had brought some so you could see them. They're like paper thin. They're so tiny.
Right, but is there a reason that you want it to be that thin, or like?
Yeah, because you're doing very intricate cutting essentially, and you're trying to preserve as much material as possible when you're working with metals, especially if you're working with something like gold or silver or platinum. And if you have to saw it like. If you're using a thick, big saw, you're going to get a lot of waste because it's making a big cut. So like a lot of that is just coming off in the form of like what looks like sawdust, but it's metal dust.
Right, and that must be annoying too, because I would imagine like the saw is always bending and stuff. So
Oh,
you
it
have
snaps
to be, like,
all the time. Like they're so thin, they snap all the time.
That's why they
Dude,
sell it
you
in
should
packs
invent like a
20.
sewing machine where you could go like it has like a little
That'd
saw
be
in it.
cool. There is. I mean, we
You mean a
have like
bandsaw?
motorized tools.
That sounds like a bandsaw.
No, I just
Yeah,
invented
but-
it. It doesn't exist.
That's a bandsaw.
But
No,
like,
I
with,
just
but
made
with,
it
it's
up.
a
Fucking
bandsaw, but with
bandsaw.
tiny saws.
Yeah, like a tiny bandsaw. A bandsaw for little people.
There are motorized tools, but they're used for hand detailing and for polishing up and
Do you
cleaning
use like
up.
a Dremel to like?
Yeah, that's what I use to polish everything. You can change like different pieces on it, and if you need to do any sort of like hand etching or hand like drilling, which I do a fair amount of.
What's the most like? I don't know if you have it like on your Instagram. Maybe if you do, we can like put it up. But like the thing that the piece that you made that you're like the most proud of. Like when you finished it, you were like, "Damn, I kind of don't even want to sell this." Like,
And if it's on your
I
IG,
don't
then
sell-
I'll throw it on the video too.
I don't sell a lot of the stuff I make, honestly, because I want to keep it. Like I'm so selfish. I just bought a bunch of materials.
I think that's
too.
a good thing though.
It is
Not
good.
if you're trying to make money.
Yeah, that's the and
No, but what I'm saying
and
is
I'm not
like, 'cause-
attached to my designs. Like,
Like-
I'm not attached to my art. Like I don't have a problem giving it out
So
and
there's a little
putting
bit
it
of
out
graphic
there.
designer in you after all.
Yeah, I don't mind putting my designs out into the world and somebody else like loving on them or whatever, but I just love the work. And I know what you're saying. Like I love my work because that's really how it started, is that like I just couldn't find anything of what I wanted to wear that was in my head. And so like my designs very much are stuff that I
like,
love wearing.
I'd rather buy a piece of jewelry from somebody that's like, damn, I really love that one. Like I hate to see it go, but like, you know, like I'm really proud of it. I'd rather buy that than for like to just buy it from somebody that's like,
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
Nah,
you
see,
know,
I
it's
wouldn't
just-
want to buy it because it's like, damn, I feel like a dick for buying it. So
No, I'd be like, you know
well-
what? I'm actually gonna pay less for it now. Give it to me.
You know what I'll do? I'll take it and I'll put it in my window. So anytime you feel like you miss it, you can just drive by it and you can see
So-
it in your window.
You said you're not attached to your
Well,
designs.
but I would say, like, I mean, I have some designs that I'm really proud of
Like, would you
that
be upset?
sell well and people like, but I think the ones I'm most proud of are my custom pieces, which I don't do a lot of. People will reach out to me and ask for custom designs, and in my experience so far, like I don't deal with a ton of clients. People are very receptive and open to what I have to design for them, and they want that when they're coming to me. And it pushes me because usually they want stonework or specific things that they want to incorporate into the design. If it's for somebody close to them, they of course are like, well, they like this color or they like this gemstone or whatever the case, right? Or this story is important to us and could you incorporate that somehow? And so I really love those pieces the most because people are really like looking for something special, and I spend more time on those usually because they involve stonework often. And
I think that's like really cool because I've never thought about how, like, okay, so Darren's like a really good artist, right? Like he can paint, he can draw, he's like badass at it.
Yes.
So like, but what I'm thinking about is like when you get commissions, most of the time it's like, oh, dude, can you draw me this badass picture? Like I want it to be this, and that, right? But when it's like jewelry, I think it's cool because like usually it's like a thought for somebody else, and it's like, oh, I want to get this for my mom.
Yeah.
Like my mom really likes this.
I get a lot of this.
Yeah,
Which I
right.
love. I
But
keep
that's
hitting the
cool. Like,
mic,
because that's
sorry.
like, I feel like that's like, it's kind of like, it makes it a little bit more sweet because it's kind of like, it's not like a selfish approach to like requesting the art. It's like, it's like, oh, I think this would be like really special.
I don't know if Darren can relate to this, but like there's a little bit of a block within me that I had to get over as an artist where like I didn't feel like being an artist was a valuable thing to contribute to the world. Like I didn't like honor or respect like, because art can be very selfish sometimes. Like you're just making stuff that makes you feel good, and then you put it up on a wall and people praise it, and like
You
whatever.
hope that people praise it.
right. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes
you hope that
if you go to
people
art school, then usually people just pick it apart and make you cry and critique. But like that
Or no,
happened to me
like-
a few times. But I mean,
wait, they what? You put it up on the wall and then what happened?
so like when you're in art school, you have projects and you have to put them on display for all your classmates and your teachers, and we all critique them, like we pick them apart. and just like tell everybody like what's good and bad about the piece.
But there's two different types of critique. There's like regular artist critique, like happens in like drawing and painting, which like the artists are generally nicer to each other.
Yeah, because you
respectful of one another.
understand. Yeah.
But then there's like graphic design critique, which is a whole motherfucking thing onto its fucking self, dude. Like,
is there a lot of ego in graphic design? We've been
not
talking
so
about
much
ego
with
today.
not with the students, but with the professors, like for sure. You know what I'm saying? Because at least like, you know, drawing and like artists, like I find like the fine art professors, they want to find the conceptual shit like in art. You know, they want to ask you why you did what you did. And a lot of the times, because I'm half graphic designer, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, thought it looked cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the graphic designer of me, right?
Yeah.
I thought it looked good. You know what I'm saying? And then like graphic design, it's all like, this does not look good. Why'd you do that? Why are you even here, bro? Like, you should be like in the fine art class. You should be like, go back to like, you know, so it's totally
There's
different.
a little more leeway in the other arts to express yourself, I think. When it comes to graphics and even illustration, it's like, it's a much more design based. I mean, so like when you think about, what's the word I'm looking for? It's what happens when you drink. Composition, right? Like, so that's pretty much like the most design. Composition and color is probably the most design that you think about if you're a fine artist, like doing paintings and drawings. So composition is how you're arranging the objects in the frame of the picture. And color is obviously, like, color theory is a whole complicated issue where you're talking about like how colors are playing off of each other and where they are in the painting or drawing. So there's that technical aspect, but there's a lot more leeway with that as far as like what you were trying to say as like a mood or a story or whatever. When it comes to graphic design, that's really a field that's geared for clients and selling something and selling a product. Then, I mean, it gets a lot more probably competitive, number one, and critical of just like what the design looks like.
Well, I was telling, because like when you actually get into the graphic design, you know, like working for clients and shit like that, like your creativity like usually gets shot down to zero, because like people come in and they say like, I want this like pig on this letter in this color, and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna think about the most badass way to like put this pig on this letter on this color, and you're like, I'm gonna do this like crazy pig and this crazy letter and this color, and you show it to them, they're like,
hate it.
Nah, I want this pig and this letter on this color, and you're just like,
that looks
okay,
awful.
They want like a
done.
certain font to be there, and then you try to tell them like, oh well, it's like not really going to be legible like if you do that.
No, they don't
It's
give a
gonna
shit.
come out. Yeah, they'll be like, no, put that.
No.
I want that font.
Actually, they think that
when
they're smarter than you.
No, yeah, when that happens, that's a great example of like they want that font. You're like, okay, I'll give you that font. Type it up. Here you go. Here it is. And they see their the error in their ways, and they're like, is this a sample? I'm like, yeah, that's a sample. How you like that? Okay, I'll do it your way. It's just like, yeah, I told you. But it's like, it's totally different than being like an actual artist where you can like, you can put more of yourself into the piece.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, graphic design is like, it's good you didn't go that way. Yeah,
That seems like a tougher field to be in for sure.
actually, it's a lot simpler because there's no, there's no gray area.
I think as a creative, it's probably tough.
I have to ask you, how was like being a yoga instructor during the pandemic? Like what? How did that
great
work?
transition.
Oh, well.
That was a horrible transition.
Okay,
sorry.
sorry.
Joe. Sorry.
Well, no,
You guys are my friends,
I
so
know
I
that
like
a lot
to-
of hippies wear jewelry.
I like to. You guys are my friends, so I like to, you know.
Yeah,
it's like,
whatever. Okay. Yeah, well, whatever. Like, comment, subscribe.
being an instructor.
Did you have any classes like during, or were you doing like the Zoom?
No,
yoga
she tried a
or whatever?
YouTube video. I know. I saw you try to put some shit on YouTube. Dog.
I
saw
have a
that
few on
video.
YouTube, but I keep them private. Like I send them to people. I might have one or two public ones. So it's like a long story. It's not a long story, but it's more complicated than I
How much time we got?
care to get into.
A minute left.
It was a rough transition for the particular studio that I was teaching at, for sure. And I don't think anybody knew what to do or felt really prepared. And so, I mean, what ended up happening with the studio I was in, like the platforms that they started moving to eventually, which took a while, whereas like other studios started doing Zoom and all that stuff right away. The platforms we were using just I didn't like them. They didn't feel.
Well, like, what were they? Were they like different apps or like were they like?
They were using Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
And like it's just there's nothing wrong with that, but like I've tried to do. I mean, there is, but it's not just that it was Facebook Live. I've tried to do Instagram Lives where I teach yoga classes, and it's fine. But like as an instructor, you have to be teaching the whole time when you're just being videoed and you can't see your students.
Right.
So you're demoing a lot, and I can't interact with them. Like even if they are commenting, I can't see it because I have to be demoing for you and showing you the class. Like I can't just be talking you through it, because if I'm talking you through it, I can't see what you're actually doing and if you're doing it correctly and like not hurting yourself. And
That's
then
good for Dan sitting in the back of the class who
like,
can't.
but then there's all kinds of
you can't touch his feet,
liability.
babe. Huh?
Well, there's all kinds of liability, like making sure that people aren't hurting themselves.
It's the internet.
Were
There's
you
no
guys-
liability.
were you guys-
There is still actually.
Were you guys still monetizing like your classes and stuff? Like what like
Yeah.
so like the Facebook Live thing,
Yes.
it would be like for members
So,
only or whatever?
Yes, and it was a much cheaper rate because you weren't getting the full
You were
studio
You were
experience.
telling me that you were like doing like you were working
Yeah.
with like a donation based like studio.
what
right?
happened? Yes. So what happened was, eventually, like I transitioned out of that studio because I even before the pandemic, I didn't feel like I was resonating with yoga studios in general anymore. There's like a lot of stuff about yoga studios that
Trauma.
there's a lot of trauma in the yoga community. There's a lot of issues with yoga as number one, as something that has been
Monetized.
westernized and
Yeah.
capitalized on. But it's not even just that. There's a lot of misconduct from the lineages of yoga and these quote unquote gurus that have taken advantage of their students that are in vulnerable positions with them, and then these people like keep passing that down and monetizing off of it. And it's not just that, like studios make a lot of money off of their instructors and off of the stuff that they're selling to you as clients. And I mean, like I wasn't making a lot of money as a yoga instructor just at a yoga studio. And it was like a lot of things at once. It wasn't just one thing, and it wasn't like one person or anything like that. I just didn't resonate with like selling yoga to the Western world anymore. Like it's just like it's the same as anything else. It's like if you're not posting it on Instagram or like trying to sell yourself all the time, then it's just like you're not competitive in the field, and it doesn't feel authentic to me.
So
Right,
like,
'cause
can
like it
you?
from, like the spiritual like?
I mean, I like both. I like
Yeah.
both.
Like as a workout
And I went to yoga for physical reasons, but I got so much more out of it that like I didn't know was laying under the surface. And a lot of people do, especially in the Western world. It's marketed to people as a body thing and like get fit and get skinny and get flexible and do yoga. And then all these other benefits it has of like calming your anxiety and your stress, or like it's really good for your like your hormonal systems and your nervous system and your blood flow, and everything is really benefited from this like mind breath body connection. But not a lot of people go into it for that reason right away, and that's not the point. Is like really, but for me it became much more of a spiritual practice, and I'm not even like that strict of a yogi, but it just felt wrong to try to be selling this thing to people as like, yeah, like I'm just like some white girl who likes yoga, like, you know, like it's literally something that was like taken from another culture and is being monetized by a bunch of white women and men.
So can you make like a legitimate like living just being a yoga instructor? Like, because I know you have to contract out of studios. But
You
can you make like a
can.
livable wage and like live like?
But
It's
that's
very
yoga
hard.
instructor?
I need to jump on like that too, because I was gonna ask you like, do you get paid as like an independent contractor in the studio?
Yes.
So you're basically
Most studios
you're
do that.
renting time.
Yeah, most
Okay.
studios will contract you out as independent contractors. So the studios and instructors got very screwed over the pandemic in that way. Mostly the studios got screwed because they don't technically have employees, so they couldn't apply for that PPP loan. Us as independent contractors could, because we run our own business, but nobody tells you that. Like nobody told me that until like way later. It was a hard position to be in. I ended up like leaving that studio, and one of my teachers that I trained with asked me to teach with him and this training he was doing where we were going to be training other teachers how to teach, and it was going to be really affordable and accessible for everyone, like of all cultures and races and classes, like financially, because yoga trainings are very, very, very expensive. Like I will admit it all the time. Like I only was able to train because my dad paid for it, like there's no other way I would have become a yoga instructor.
Do you mind me asking, like, how much in total do you think you spent on training?
Oh gosh, now at this point, my basic training was a little under $3,000, and that was like a local El Paso one, and that was only because I paid it in full. Well, my dad paid it in full for me. Thanks, Daddy. I sound like such a typical white girl right now. That's your basic level 200-hour training that you need in order to teach. Now, not everybody is certified for 200 hours and not everybody requires it. So like if you're going to go do yoga, maybe just like check in with who you're taking yoga from, because even a lot of those 200-hour trainings are not super in depth. Okay, there's this thing called the Yoga Alliance, which governs yoga trainings in America, and
Justice League.
It's so stupid.
There's always somebody.
They have it serves a purpose in that they regulate what these trainings look like, but like it's kind of they appointed themselves to say like, okay, well, what do these trainings need to have? And then they're certified through the Yoga Alliance. So you've gone to a training that is approved by the Yoga Alliance, and then once you graduate from one of those trainings, you can register with the Yoga Alliance for like $200 a year. And they'll help you get insurance, which you have to pay for also. But you're registered with them, which somehow accredits you, right? It's just a big scam.
Is it like the insurance, like the kind of
I've
like
never
gym
once,
insurance? Like if you get hurt, like someone gets hurt.
Yeah,
during
it's
your yoga
liability
classes,
insurance.
like, okay.
Yeah. And I've never once registered with Yoga Alliance because I knew right away it was a scam. I was like, not going to give them $200 a year. And it's probably more than that now.
Is there any benefit to paying that too?
But,
like if you can
but
afford to pay
some studios will require that you are registered with them and that you've done a training through them.
And are those studios usually like they have more traffic, or like I don't
not
know.
necessarily more traffic, but they might be in larger cities that are charging more money or whatever. It's just a way for the studios to regulate that you got this much training, right? But Yoga Alliance, like they see your plan for your training and they're never once going to call you or check in to make sure you're actually teaching what you say you're going to teach. So a lot of yoga teachers don't even have the knowledge of basic anatomy, even though that's required in the Yoga Alliance, like whatever, like requirements. Like you have to have an anatomy section and a history section and a Sanskrit section of all this stuff. But there's a lot of trainings that will try and pack it into a really short amount of time, these 200 hours that you're supposed to take. And then they don't actually even do 200 hours. They're like, well, they did this much in class. And then the rest was like them doing homework outside of class and some observation hours and yada yada.
What do you think is like the most basic anatomy that you have to know? Like for like because like you're gonna get a bunch of newbies that like have never stretched their bodies before, so you have to know. I would imagine like probably like their hamstrings.
Well, I didn't answer. I didn't answer your first question. I will say like let me just answer that before I forget that. Like I've spent, so I've spent nearly probably almost $5,000 on trainings at this point. And so you can do your 200 hour, but then you can do a 300 hour after that, which totals to 500 hours with Yoga Alliance. And your 300 hour trainings are usually $3,000 and upwards. So like $3,000 to $5,000, depending on who your teacher is and what school you're going to and whatever. But I've only got my 200 hour, and then I did a lot of like specialized trainings. So I did like my rocket yoga training, who is the person that I'm working for now. That was a pretty penny, but it wasn't like outrageous. Like he has a pretty large following on Instagram, and like his reach is pretty big, and that's his career, is like he travels and teaches yoga. Very, very excellent teacher and a really good person, and really tried to do something wonderful in the pandemic of making the yoga trainings accessible for people, especially since we were home and we could do it all on Zoom.
It's not a knock to to pay for it either, because
It's not, but
like
they're
people go to college and you're basically paying for training.
right.
In
But they are
college.
expensive and they require a lot of time, and it's not accessible for everybody. That's for sure. And it's not designed to be. Honestly, it's designed for studios to make money. They like you'll usually go to a yoga training at a yoga studio and they profit a lot of money off of those trainings, because they're say you have 15 people coming into your training, so you're doing this twice a year. Most of them do them twice a year. You're doing those trainings twice a year with say anywhere from 10 to 15 people, could be less, could be 5 people, right? You never know. But they're each paying $3,000. So that's like a big chunk of change to make that you're not necessarily like going to employ those people or help them find jobs. Like they're just like people with time and money. Like I had the time and the money to do it. And I'm grateful for that, because I really do try to serve people with the yoga. But like some people just do it for fun and don't even think about like what they're doing with the yoga. Anyway, that's a whole nother tangent. What were you asking me about?
I forgot.
I know I forgot already, because I didn't want to forget, because I want people to know like they cost a lot of money.
So the majority of yoga studio money like still comes like revenue from like membership and shit, right? Like
Yeah,
okay. And so
for sure. And they have, it depends on the studio. They have some high overheads. It depends. Like I taught at a hot yoga studio, and I know that the overhead for a hot yoga studio is quite a bit more than other studios
because of the energy costs, or what?
So yeah, and so you'll end the laundry costs like you're renting out towels, and like we used to put cold towels on people at the end of class, and like you're doing laundry all the time, and the energy cost of running a heater and a humidifier all the time. So like if you just even do a membership or one class at a specialized yoga studio like that, you'll pay a little more than just like a regular.
So I know there was 2 big yoga studios in El Paso. I'm not gonna name any names, but would you say that one of them? I don't know if it's still not around right now, but would you say it's not around because
I don't know actually.
they
I'm so
overextended
disconnected.
themselves?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. And yes,
What do you mean by
I know what you're talking about.
overextended?
Expanded way too fast.
Oh, like they had too many branches.
Opened up a lot of
without
locations.
being too particular, they had a location here, and then
Little house.
yeah. See, if I point here, that
little
could be
house?
any side of town.
Yeah.
And then and then they moved to a location over here.
Little
they had
house over
2.
here, little house over there.
No, actually, over here was a shopping center, and then they proved like 2 locations that way, and it's just kind of like, damn, that was fast.
That's where I got trained, by the way.
right on.
And like from an amazing teacher. Like I didn't know how good my training was until I started training teachers to teach. And like, because a lot of these people that I've been teaching have taken other trainings, but they really liked our program and it was affordable enough they could take another one. We had a lot of really amazing teachers decide to be a part of it. And I did get paid for it. And then we extended it. And at that point, we became donation based.
What are the things?
But like I've had so many people tell me that like they just never learned this stuff, like stuff that I was lecturing on, just like teaching to special populations, like so people with certain physical conditions that make their mobility different than others or more limited, quote unquote, than other people. Even just like prenatal and postnatal yoga, which all this stuff I was taught in my training, like all these other people like didn't. I remembered your question. You asked me like what parts of anatomy need to be known the most.
Oh yeah.
Definitely like, I mean, all of it, honestly, the muscular system mostly.
Wieners.
It's not a muscle, you dummy. It's soft tissue.
Definitely avoid those when you're a
Not
yoga
mine.
teacher.
Mine's hard tissue.
Oh, it's soft tissue.
Yeah, it actually is.
Not
soft
in the mornings.
tissue.
It's not.
Yeah.
But my teacher
No, but okay, so
was
I have to be
amazing, and
juvenile.
I'm not sure about that. I know we jumped all over the place. I'm not sure. I really don't know what happened with that yoga studio, and I don't care to get involved in like the politics of the yoga world, and like all that stuff is just like stuff that like I don't care about. Like I want every studio to be successful and like pay their teachers well and provide a really beautiful service to people. And it's unfortunate that that studio had to close, but I think it was a lot of factors too.
So they're done?
The only one that was open was
right?
no, that other one you're talking about.
Oh, right on.
That one was, there was only one left, and it was partially owned by another person for a while. So like it wasn't even the person that owned the other ones that was owned that one that stayed open. So I think it was a lot of things. I think it was probably some about money, but I also think that the person who owned those studios wanted to pursue other things too. Like it's hard to be a studio owner. It really is. And a teacher, like you kind of sacrifice your own yoga practice and all that to just serve other people, right? Which is like not a noble thing. Like it's not about being a martyr. It's just like.
So you ever thought about opening up your own yoga studio?
I mean, I've thought about it, but
Just think about
I
what
don't
is it
really
like?
want to
You
do
can have
it.
What's
elves
the
in the back
overhead?
making jewelry, dude.
Yeah,
Because
right.
I know there's overhead, like you said, there's overhead involved in that, but it can't be like the same kind
It
of
costs
overhead.
a lot of money to open a yoga studio. I mean, just
Like
everything.
bar
involved.
money? Can't be as much as
No,
bar
not
money.
as.
Well, you
it
don't
can't
know
be as much
because
as
maybe
bar
there's like so like different
it's-
health department shit that they probably have to deal
Yeah,
with.
No,
but we
but
have to
it's
deal with the same
not-
shit as a bar.
and it's not
right,
as
but they
it's,
probably have different shit.
it's not as constant of an overhead because like you'll spend a lot opening a yoga studio, but you'll spend a lot like what on like props and all that stuff, which costs a lot of money if you're buying them a
Props?
lot of them. So like you can use bolsters and yoga blocks and all this
What
stuff
the
to
fuck is
help.
all of that?
It
Dude,
makes
blocks are like the little. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, I've taken the yoga class. You haven't taken the yoga class before?
No, I've never done
Darren
yoga.
Came to one of my yoga classes.
Yeah, I was horrible at it. So like blocks are like the little things that like kind of support your shit as you're trying to.
they're literally blocks, but they're made out of foam.
So you don't fuck your body up
or cork.
by
You know, well,
overextending.
there's certain positions, especially as a noob, that you cannot get into, and that you need the fucking blocks kind of like help you. Like
if
get
you don't
in
have
that
a lot of
position.
flexibility in your hamstrings, they help a lot with like they
Your
bring
hips, bro.
they
Your
bring the
fucking
floor
hips.
up to you, so you'll place blocks on the floor. So like when you do positions that involve like your hand on the floor or whatever, then you
it's
have
so
the block.
embarrassing, man.
It's not, and that's what I mean. Like people have a lot of ego when it comes to
No,
yoga.
dude, you just gotta go.
Dude, I use blocks all the time, like all the time, just to feel supported. And sometimes my hamstrings are so tight. Like I exercise a lot, and like that's not like you should have both, right? So if you're exercising in any form or just sitting a lot or standing a lot in your work, then you're gonna have tight hamstrings. Like it's not about
Every
like
bartender
being good at
in
yoga.
the world should do some type of yoga.
Oh gosh,
because,
for sure.
like your lower back is fucked from standing up all the goddamn time, and
Yeah.
yoga would just like
yeah.
just take care of that, man. Like
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with the yoga world, and I since then I still teach with that group of people that I've been with. I'm trying to transition. I've almost finished with a kids and teens training, so I'd be a certified if I registered with Yoga Alliance, which I don't. I'd be a registered
is there another one?
children's yoga teacher.
Is it just Yoga Alliance or is there some other shit?
It's
No,
just
it's
Yoga Alliance.
That's some fucking monopoly capitalistic
It's
bullshit,
so
dude.
dumb, dude. They literally stole a spiritual practice from an Eastern country
That's the
and
American
monetized
way,
it.
dude.
It's awful.
What
But anyway, sorry.
what are some things
We're
that
so,
you
like,
what are some things
uh,
that you notice in the yoga community that like you don't appreciate? Like the kind of like mentality, because I think you've told me a couple times of like the way some people go into it, like where like you can just like, you know, like you're not going to refuse to teach them or do anything like that, but you think that it's like kind of toxic to like the whole idea of like,
I mean, those are
doing
usually the
yoga.
people who need the yoga the most. So it's like hard to turn people away. And you can't turn people away. If you're working at a studio, you don't have the authority to turn anyone away most of the time. People, I see it from both students and teachers, like, and with anything else we were talking about earlier before we started recording is like ego gets involved, and even especially honestly, like especially in these like spiritual communities, just like you see it in anything else, religious communities, bartending communities, like people's egos are just like they get out of control, and it's so easy to like feed that part of you. It's human nature, right?
How does ego come into play when it comes to the yoga community?
Well, it's just even so much as like what Joe said is like he doesn't want to look stupid using a block, like because somehow like the way his posture looks.
so now I look stupid for saying that I don't want to look
well,
stupid.
okay, well, no, like because I mean that's the same thing when it comes to the gym, right? People don't want to go to the gym because they don't want to look stupid lifting in front of other people, right?
Right, or
Well-
using lightweight. Like a lot of people don't want to go to the gym because like
Don't do that in front of me.
what?
Don't use lightweight in front of me. I will fucking.
Oh, because you're a bodybuilder.
No, a bodybuilder. Yeah, I'm a bodybuilder. Look at this.
But you've always
Look,
lifted
yeah,
heavy. You've
this-
always. We talk about this. We used to talk about this all the time. I'm a light lifter.
Yeah, I'm a light lifter. This beer in my mouth.
When you were working out a lot, you lift heavy.
Oh, that's why you have 3 cameras.
Yeah, but I feel like this it's pointing more this way.
It actually doesn't matter.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, because we have to count.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So basically, you were saying ego. Ego's the enemy of, you think.
Ego's not the enemy. The thing is like ego's here to teach us, right, and show us parts of ourselves that need healing and need growth. And I mean, ego's an essential part of being a human. Like, we all have this urge to sort of compete for resources or survival, right? But when ego gets out of control and you're starting to rely on it, like, everybody does this from time to time, like including myself, is like, you start to compare yourself to other people. You start to try and compete to like be the best, coolest, prettiest, fittest, whatever, right?
Handstands all
wearing
day,
wearing the
motherfucker.
most expensive leggings and like whatever, handstands all day, like having these very complicated,
I have to
deep
tell you,
poses.
I think that like the one thing that I think is like always like weird to me is that there's like a lot of people on Instagram that like practice like yoga or not even necessarily yoga, but like meditation and stuff, and they're all about like, oh, you need to like let go of your ego, blah blah, all that. But then like they'll go on like a meditation,
But they're
retreat.
posting it on Instagram.
Yeah, and it's like always like
For
they're
people to see.
like they buy like the costume, they wear the costume, they go to the cliff, they do the pose, they take the picture. But it's like, well, at that point, isn't it like the point of all of that? Like, the reason that monks wear robes is because they're trying to.
Because they're broke and they can't afford anything else.
No.
What, you sell robes at H&M? Like, come on.
No, but it's like, wow, but I wouldn't be surprised if H&M starts selling robes. But
H&M has robes?
Definitely Urban Outfitters has.
What?
I just imagine you coming out of the shower wearing like a monk's
An
robe.
H&M robe?
Yeah. No, but like the whole idea to me is like, you know, and I'm not judging either, but I just think like, well, that's
No, it's okay to talk about
and
it.
I don't do yoga, right? Like I don't do any of
social media throws in this whole
Ruins
other ball
everything.
game because we use social media as a way to either
peacock.
Well, okay, yes, but it's like a necessity because like anytime I want
just
to
had,
get
like, a
out
vision.
of
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, continue.
anytime I want to get like off social media, I'm like, I can't because this is where I like promote my classes for free promotion or very cheap promotion. Right. Like, and this is how people know where I'm teaching every week. And, you know, this is how I build up my own career. And I use it, but I'm definitely guilty of like posting pictures of me doing postures and like trying to write something that's relevant to people that they'll understand and maybe want to come have like a spiritual practice with me. So like, I mean, social media in general, once you throw that in, automatically starts feeding and messing with our egos. Even when we're just comparing ourselves to other teachers or whatever, like, yeah, there is a certain part of like people promoting themselves on social media that feels really like phony and whatever. And it is that, like, I get it. I don't know how to get around it nowadays without like just giving up my
It's like a necessary
business.
evil, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was talking about, like the ego thing. Like the ego thing as a student, I get, but like the ego thing as a teacher, like explain that.
And you
like,
can't
how's
fully,
that?
and like what you were saying, like you can't fully. I'll get there. I think teachers feel really competitive with each other for sure, and also like competitive with themselves. That was definitely the case for me. Like I felt very competitive with myself and like what I was capable of doing because I've dealt with lots of injuries. Yeah, as a teacher, like dealing with my own injuries where like I can't do the stuff that like I used to be able to do, or at least not right now. Just in general, like wanting to feel important, right? It can reach very extreme cases where you have, like I said, these gurus, quote unquote, who put themselves in a position of power, like they're preying on vulnerable people with
Yeah.
a spiritual.
Like I only know of one guy. I don't know his name.
Bikram, probably.
Yes.
The
Netflix documentary.
The old sweaty dude.
Did you
with
watch?
the,
Did you
with
watch
the
the
hair.
documentary?
So
on
he
Netflix?
so he
No, I just seen a bunch
started.
of shit about him.
He
I've seen the
kinda-
documentary.
It's watch it. It's on Netflix. It's
Oh yeah,
really good.
watch
dude.
it.
It's
Yeah,
fucking
but
crazy.
I've seen him like a bunch of shit
So,
about him. Like,
Bikram, that's his first name. Bikram Corduroy. It's spelled different than like the pants. Don't worry. Don't look at me like that.
But he invented the pants.
He started.
invented corduroys
He
and
wore a
invented
diaper.
yoga.
Like he wore like a straight up like thong Speedo diaper all the time. I think he wore a Speedo all the time.
Yeah, it was a Speedo.
So the other gurus will wear like these like cloth wrapped diaper things. I'm sure there's a proper name for it that I'm disrespecting, and I'm sorry for that.
I think it's dye.
These guys are like, no, these guys
it
are
depends.
Yeah.
Don't make it worse,
These
guys.
motherfuckers are just shitting their pants on stage.
I know that's what they say.
You guys know,
Like, we have to teach 4-hour class. I don't want to move.
I like how I always have to say this. Like, you guys know I'm a feminist, so like I fucking
We're
hate
talking
these
about
What
shitting
is
your
that?
pants,
Yeah.
dude.
because I
We're
hate
talking
these
about dudes shitting
No, I'm
pants.
just saying because I hate these guys. Like, because what they did, like, so Bikram, he started hot yoga. Technically, he would put people like lots and lots. He got lots and lots of people to believe in him and follow him. And he created a sequence of 26 postures in a hot room. It's, I believe, like 106 degrees, 108 degrees, around there, whatever like it's supposed to be. I'm not positive. But he would have them in these big rooms with mirrors and like people like set up like very close together on mats because he had that many followers like everywhere he went. And he would set himself up on a stage and sit there and watch everybody.
You'd watch him?
He would watch them.
You wouldn't do things.
I saw like in that documentary, it looks like straight up like the inside of like a Sam's warehouse of just people like lined up, and then he's just sitting there like with a little mic, like a Britney Spears style mic, like talking to them.
Hashtag free Britney. I had to. Anyway,
lock her up.
So
bad.
he was accused later of sexually assaulting and raping several of his students and like inappropriately adjusting them, like pushing himself against them in inappropriate ways while he was like very close to their bodies. And then outside of that, like they would have these retreats and stuff. So then he would get like these students, like his favorite students, to come into like his room and like basically rape them. And
well, also, but they were going to his like, he would invite them to like kind of teach with him, but also it's kind of like, well, you're gonna get your license, but I might go to like no, but I might go to your room. I might go to your room and like do some weird shit.
And they're also
like,
so there are already also people who are like looking to him for spiritual guidance and a yoga practice, because the yoga practice is not just about postures and exercise. It's a spiritual path. So it's not affiliated with a religion. It does come from the East and it has some references to Hinduism, but it's not about a religion. It's a spiritual path, and it's a discipline in order for you to ascend higher along the spiritual path, right? So it's not just the asana, which is the posture. It's the pranayama, which is breath work. So there's like 8 limbs. So there's asana, pranayama, there's yama and niyama, which are your physical, how you treat your own physical self, and then how you ethically act in the world. So things like non-stealing, and for yourself, it's like cleanliness, right? Restraint. So like restraining your sexual energy. Like this was like a big part of Indian culture with Ashtanga yoga, which is the most traditional form of yoga that we still sort of like
most
use.
popular form.
It's maybe not the most popular anymore, but that guy was also accused of a lot of sexual assault, the guy who started Ashtanga yoga. And so like, anyhow, it's a spiritual practice, right? So people are coming to it for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's not just like we go work out and whatever. Like these people are really following these gurus because they have spiritual insights. And like there's stuff outside of yoga where you see like spiritual gurus also taking advantage of people. But when like these people, these guys, these old men are taking advantage of their students because they hold this power over them. Like these people look up to them and they respect them, and they just want to be like loved and accepted by their teachers because their teachers are giving them this experience, which yoga does give you. Like it gives you this.
Also like the tools to heal like spiritually. Like if you have some sort of trauma, like this teacher's telling you like, this is the way I can teach you, I can show you the way, but also like I might like slip a digit in your butt or something, you know?
Like you're observing the self and you're sort of unpacking your own layers of trauma or whatever to help you ascend and feel better and feel healthier. But yeah, like people take advantage of it, and it's about power and money. Like Bikram I think his net worth is like $75 million at this point, which like compared to like what we have now, like billionaires, like it's not that much money, but he made all that money off preying on people and he got away with it. Like he literally, he would show off his money. Like he would just like, he bought all these cars and he had this fucking mansion and he showed it all off. And then when he got accused of all this stuff, he bolted to Mexico. And like that was it. He's in Mexico and he was still doing trainings up until 2019. And then I think Mexico or whoever like has or whatever reason he's finally like stopped doing the trainings, but he was making still like you would go pay $12,000, 12 grand to go train with Bikram in Mexico, and people would still go after he was already accused of sexual assault.
Well, that's the thing though. Like even after you get accused for like that shit, there's like people that are so hard into the fucking like the belief structure of the whole thing that even after you get exposed, there's still those people who are just kind of like.
But that's what I mean. Like you think you're special. This is what I'm saying. Like about like the ego getting involved. Is like you think you're special, whether you're a student or a guru or a teacher. That you think you're somehow more special than anybody else. Like this is where like teachers get into trouble. I think if they do is like thinking that yours. I'm not saying like that's what my ego did, and I hope it didn't. But like I don't feel like it did. But like if you think that you're better than anybody else because you're further along your spiritual path or you've practiced longer or whatever, like then you start to get this power trip. Like that is so dangerous. And those men who did it and made a lot of money off people like really just wanted power, right?
Have you seen that on the micro level? Like have you seen that like happen like
where somebody thinks that they're Bikram?
I mean, maybe not quite that extreme, but I've definitely.
So you've seen signs, like hints of it?
No, I
like
I can't say.
Like, you haven't had like a student like one time, or like you've like heard of like going to like a yoga studio, and then they're like, hey,
oh, we know. Like I've definitely.
I feel like that guy kind of like put his like.
I've definitely known of people feeling like they were touched, not even necessarily inappropriately, but when they didn't want to be touched, and like it goes both ways. Like I've seen students behave poorly and I've seen teachers behave poorly. I've seen students behave poorly towards teachers and towards other students. I've seen teachers behave poorly towards other teachers and students.
So it's just like any other facet of life.
Well, how would a student behave poorly towards a teacher?
Like, so I've seen, okay, well.
My buns hurt. I think I need more. I need more stretching in my buns, teacher.
Like, listen, I mean, like, you guys, like, there's no getting around, like, yoga puts you in, like, awkward postures and you're wearing, like, what yoga clothing looks like now with, like, tight leggings and, like, whatever. Speedos. Like, people. Yeah.
I showed up in, like, fucking basketball sweats and a t-shirt. That's because I'm black.
I've seen it several ways. Like, I've seen. I'm not even necessarily, like, some students will say inappropriate things, but I've also seen students just, like, think that they know better and like disregard what teachers have to teach you or say to you, and like
that's just
so
assholes.
Lame.
That's just assholes.
Yeah, well, they just think that they know, and like they know what their body's capable of, and like assholes. I can do the headstand and handstand.
But it's like when you make like a traditional old fashioned, and then somebody comes up to you and
this isn't traditional old fashioned.
Yeah,
traditional old fashioned has cherries and orange wedges in it.
You have to put cinnamon bitters in it. Put some cinnamon bitters in there. And it's like,
fuck off, bro.
And then you just do it, and you're just like, all right. Here you go.
I always
Enjoy
said,
shit.
guys, when I was bartending and teaching yoga at the same time, and I always said, like, I'm doing the same job. Like, this is the same thing. Like, people are coming to me for the same reasons. They all want a teacher, somebody to listen to them, a priest, a therapist, like all your customers who come and sit at the bar, like they want love advice, they want all this stuff like from you, right? They want you to be like somebody to talk to and to listen to them. But I was just dealing different drugs, like, you know, like it was really like the same. And
so you were a spiritual gangster?
And yoga, oh God.
We should also mention now, because we haven't said it this whole time, but that's how we met each other, was like working together in the bar industry.
Yeah.
We worked at Blackbird together.
Yes.
I'm surprised that has not
He
come
did
up
say
at
that
all.
kind of at the beginning. So we were bartender friends, but we did work together at a certain point.
Together but separately.
Together but separate.
Like segregation in the
But it's really like a lot of the same types of people that are attracted to yoga, and why they stick around to yoga is the same reason they like alcohol, is like it gives you this relief and this high. Yeah. I mean, breathing, like breath work, meditation, like that shit really relieves a lot of like it's scientifically proven at this point, and it is legitimately like if you've ever done a breathwork practice like and tried to do it consistently, like really calms your anxiety. And that's like the human condition now is like stress and anxiety, and we think that's how we're supposed to feel all the time. So like once you stop feeling that way for a moment, it's addicting. It's addicting. Like you feel good, you feel peaceful, like you feel happy with yourself. Like
I said work is I'm like, wait, I'm not stressed and anxious.
Exactly.
Why
Like
don't I feel
exactly.
Like
I don't think I ever slept before I started doing yoga. Just because of anxiety.
Dude, like, okay, so I've never done yoga. I mean, I've done like short, like I've tried to start with like that the lady on Instagram. I mean on YouTube, where it's like yoga. Yeah,
Adrian, yoga with Adrian.
Jennifer
That's everybody does yoga
So,
with
like,
Adrian. I love
like,
her, by the way.
that,
She's
like,
amazing.
Like the 10-minute beginner, like, you know, YouTube video or whatever. But then like after a while, I was like, I just kind of feel like a jackass. Like I'm like not doing anything.
Gotta
like,
let go of your ego, man.
No, I know, but like, no, but it's
some
not
weights,
that,
bro.
No, but it's not
Listen
that.
to
It's
Limp
just
Bizkit
like,
and go
it's
fucking
just
crazy.
Like, honestly, it's just I couldn't let go. But I do like to meditate.
It takes time, like it does. It's like anything else. It's a practice, and it's a yoga practice for a reason. And it is a little more difficult if you've never practiced before to do it online with an instructor that can't see you or communicate with you. Like being in person is a much more ideal situation for sure. And I did like eventually, I didn't love it at first. I liked Zoom for yoga during COVID because you could see people interact with them, like as opposed to doing something like Facebook or Instagram Live. Because it just didn't feel good as a teacher to do that. And I knew my students didn't have the same connection. Zoom provided that. And I'm sure there's other ones now besides just Zoom, but Zoom, sponsor us.
Yeah.
I do love Zoom now. Like it's made it, and just the training I was a part of with the online stuff and my teacher, they built a community where we had just community classes where we sit and talk to people. We have a talent show, like, the students come and like play their instruments or read their poetry or whatever. Like we built a community and it's really nice. That it gives it that personal trust that just seeing somebody on YouTube doesn't really give you, but it's accessible for people to have these shorter videos that are free. And Adrian is great. Like I've taken a few of hers when I'm just like at home and I'm like, oh, I just need something. And like, I don't want to think of my own stuff to do. Like I've done a few of her videos. But it is a different experience, and it's hard to do yoga at home because you're distracted at home. Like there's all this stuff at home that like you're thinking about. Like
especially me, it's like on my PlayStation.
The studio, like yoga studios, serve a beautiful purpose, but it is flawed. Like, you know, I'm not just trying to like shit on yoga studios. It's a beautiful place to be, and if you can identify with that community and you find community and a spiritual practice there, that's awesome. It's just not where I am in my own personal journey right now. And like I had to start asking myself those questions, like even before COVID and before 2020, when people like it was blaring in our face, like all these issues that we have with specifically America and the Western world of like, how are we including or equating race into the issue, right? Or like financial means, like 2020, everybody took a financial hit for the most part, right? So like how
not billionaires, they're doing all right.
Not billionaires.
Those fools are flying to space.
They're going to space.
But really, like in the yoga community, like I was already asking myself that stuff, and then it just got blaringly loud. It's like, okay, like there aren't yoga studios set up in poorer communities, right? And where, like, what type of populations make up the most poor communities in our country, right? Like it's a systemic thing, and yoga is a part of that. Like it is. And
well, it's weird because
and the work I was doing was like I started doing trauma informed stuff. So like I've taken a few different trauma informed trainings now, and the kids yoga one I'm doing is trauma informed as well. So like learning how to treat people, how to set up a space that is safe for people who have experienced trauma on their healing journey, right? I'm not your therapist. I'm not your healer, right? I'm just here to facilitate a space for you on your own journey. That goes for everybody. but how can we supply that for people who have been through a lot of traumas? And a lot of those people are in these communities that we aren't serving.
Well, see,
like, because they can't make money off of it. So I mean, like, a yoga studio won't make money in a lower income area.
Well, see, okay, so that's a weird thing, because like to do yoga, you don't need anything.
No,
you don't need a fucking mat. You don't need shit.
you don't need yoga
don't need
clothes.
anything.
You don't need yoga
You don't need
clothes.
studio,
You don't need a
shit.
yoga mat.
Yeah, you just need like maybe an instruction booklet to tell you a few poses, and like you come up with your own workout routine or whatever, right?
You'd only need clothes that you can move in.
Exactly.
And I know for sure still in India, like, they're not wearing Lululemon leggings to practice. Like, they dress in baggier clothes. Like, it's not about
H&M
like
robes.
looking hot. It's about being able to move and feel comfortable. Like, you could do it in your pajamas. Like,
Well, see, that's why. See, and the funny thing is like that's why soccer is such a universal sport, like all over the world. It's because you only need like your homies and
a ball.
A ball.
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't need pads. You don't need
Right.
like anything. That's why it's all over the place. Yoga, you literally need nothing.
Nothing. You
So
just need your
why is it
body
not
and yourself.
more, like, there's African bodybuilders. Like, there's guys working out with like gasoline tanks tied to like metal things
or
and just
cinder blocks. I've seen like a lot
like
of
just
them,
getting
like
down
cinder
and
blocks,
shit.
and-
Like it's
yeah.
weird. And like they're getting
You
down.
literally only need your body and your space, and there's not enough yoga out there that's even teaching people whose bodies don't function the way, quote unquote, a normal functional body functions. So like, there's not a lot of yoga out there for senior
People with hip
citizens,
replacements.
You're a robot, so no.
senior
you don't count.
citizens, prenatal, postnatal, kids yoga, MS, cancer, all these things that are like groups of people who could very much benefit from the practice of yoga, but they're not seeing marketed to them a practice, even like larger bodies, right? Like, not seeing a practice that looks accessible for them, so they don't, and it's not at most studios. Like, they're not going to teach that.
It's all marketed as like the physicality of it rather than like
Right.
the whole experience of doing
Right.
yoga and like
Right. And there's so many, like, the practice is set up that you can modify it and you can still get all the benefits of a yoga posture without having to express it in its most fullest expression, right? You don't have to get your leg behind your head. That's not functional movement at all. We were talking about the splits. The splits is not a functional movement.
That'd be pretty
Like,
sick,
it
though.
does nothing for your functional
Nope.
body. Like, the yoga asana, so the postures in theory are designed to physically equip you to make you stronger so that you can breathe and meditate for longer. So like, that's the purpose of the asana. And to keep you obviously like physically healthy, but like to build your core strength, to be breathing while you practice is to build your lung capacity so that you can sit and do breath work and meditation for longer. That's the purpose of the asana in yogic spiritual practice. So like, there's no point to like get your leg behind your head if that's not going to help you meditate for
That's so
longer.
cool.
Like, that's great, like for an Instagram shot, and it's great if that's where you've gotten in your practice and you need to push your body further to sort of feel that release of muscle tension, then like, cool. But like, there's no functional purpose for that. Like, for us, it's just like,
or standing on your head.
there's a
Standing on your head.
Yeah. Like
so the
doing a
inversions
headstand.
the inversions do have a more benefit than just like
your lower
looking
back.
cool.
Bruh. Like,
No, they're really good for your like thyroid and this glandular system. Is that right? Adrenal system? Is that what the hormones is? I should know this.
glandular.
My yoga teacher. Also really good for calming. So anytime you have your head below your heart, it slows down your heart rate. And so really good for that. There are purposes to headstands and handstands. Like, they're actually at the end of your practice
They're really
normally
cool
when
looking.
you're cooling down.
They're super cool.
They are
That's
cool
practice.
looking. They are cool looking. And if you like beautiful shots on Instagram, like, I'm not hating on that. It's just like, there's something that's missing from it, right? Like, if you're only posting beautiful shots of yourself looking perfect and like your best days as a like,
That's
nobody
just-
Or like when they
Instagram.
do.
That's
Okay,
Instagram,
okay.
though.
I'm gonna do
Yeah.
a pose. I'm gonna do a pose real quick that I always see, and it's like,
I can't wait.
oh,
He's gonna do
again,
child's
I can't
pose,
wait,
and I'm
I
like,
can't
dude, we
wait,
can't
can't
get
no,
on
but it's
camera,
like
bro.
I went up. What's
You
that?
couldn't even touch your toes, bro.
Hey, yeah, I can.
You
if I
couldn't
bend my
even touch
knees.
your knees. You couldn't even
Guadalupe Peak.
I'm just trying to defend you. I'm not shitting on you.
I've actually been working on my flexibility like really hardcore during like COVID.
That's
Guada-
good.
Guadalupe
You gotta have
Peak.
both.
Like it'll be like, oh, like it's like somebody on Instagram, then like they'll go and then they'll do this.
Yeah, that's a tree pose. Vrikshasana in
But
Sanskrit.
it's like Why did you have to do that? Why did you have to take a picture?
Well, that's all of that. But you're just shitting on the entire like
Well, yeah,
premise
if you're
behind social media.
Well, doesn't mean like if you're
Like,
promoting.
why'd you do that thing and why'd you have to take a picture of it?
If you're
'Cause
promoting yourself,
all social media
and,
is that. It's like,
yeah.
couldn't you just done that and then just not take a picture of it?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
exactly how I feel.
Yeah. So
No, but it's like, no, but my thing is like you're starting to bring like this like practice of something that's supposed to be like semi-spiritual.
think of something
right?
you
Or I
like, something you love, you really love, something you enjoy, and think of someone who made it corporate because it's already happened. Like
Burgers.
and that's what.
McDonald's.
Yeah, yeah,
Burgers.
McDonald's. Yeah, like metal. Do you like metal? Metallica corporatized the fuck out of that. Like so.
Metallica won't even let you download something on Napster, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Well, Napster doesn't exist anymore
I know.
because of Metallica.
Fucking what's his name?
But yeah,
Lars.
think of something you love,
Yeah.
and it's been corporatized.
Yeah, I mean, so it's
There's
just.
an R word that goes with it that I like to
Listen,
say,
like,
but I won't say it
it's
on
just.
here.
I just want to make it clear, like it's not to shit on
Okay,
every.
Scooby-Doo.
It's not to shit on every yoga studio or like
That's
any
good.
Western yoga practitioner. I just think these are questions we have to be asking ourselves and as yoga practitioners. And it's just something that wasn't resonating for me. Like I teach yoga to serve people and I love doing that. I don't feel connected or authentic in a studio setting anymore. You okay?
I'm good.
Okay,
It's
well.
fine. It's fine.
I've definitely just like honed in my energy and I prefer like not teaching a room jam packed full of people because studios will do that. Like put as many people as we can. And if there's a demand, like, yeah, try and get everybody in. Like there's not a lot of yoga in this town, but like that's a lot of energy for me to spend. Like just energetically, not because I don't want to do it. Like it's hard as a teacher to like deal with that many people at once and like be teaching in a heated room where you're sweating the whole time and doing that multiple times a day and multiple times a week. And like,
So what's the maximum amount of people that you think you can handle at one time? Because I mean, granted, like that studio that I went to, like
it depends on the size of the room, like how much people they'll put in there. But
yeah, because I want like those Bikram things that had like all those people around,
Yeah.
but you can't pay attention to that many people, right? So I would
No.
say like maybe 1, 2, 3, like
and it
9.
would be irresponsible to try.
I would say like
to do
9's a
that.
good amount. Like at the same time.
Yeah, like I think ideally, like I tell the students that I teach special populations to that if they're going to teach a special population, especially that require more physical modifications and more of your attention, like 12 would be max. Like, but smaller is really better. It's like quality, not quantity, right?
You need room to move. Like
You need room to move and you need time as a teacher to be able to observe and really help people on an individual basis. I just personally have really honed in my vision of what I want to be doing with my yoga. And I'm totally happy to teach adults, but like I'm really loving teaching my teen clients that I have. And like when I was that age, like, God, did I need mindfulness and breath work and yoga? Like I needed it so bad. And I wish I had learned those tools at that age. And especially now that we have social media and like all these things, like that I got out of a yoga practice about like my own self-confidence and self-worth and like the whole journey of like unveiling these layers about myself through a physical practice. Like it does serve a purpose. It's not just like to shit on physical practice, but there's so much more
It's
to it than
healing and it's strengthening too.
It's so
'Cause
much.
You strengthen the body,
It's
but you
everything.
heal the mind.
it's
kinda
more
cool.
healing, not as much strength.
You're using your body. Oh, you clearly have
You
not
wanna
done
go?
a lot of yoga.
You want to go? We can go right
You
now.
know how many CrossFitters
Give
I
me a
have
tree
in
pose
my
right now,
yoga
you son of a bitch.
classes?
Huh?
How many CrossFitters I have in my yoga classes?
You know they do that so they don't get hurt because they do really stupid.
No.
Oh,
But I'm
first of
telling
all-
you, like the shit that
First
they
of all, it's
can't
CrossFit.
do.
They're
Oh,
dumb.
here goes classic.
Yeah.
I
This
shouldn't
is
have brought
live
up.
patience. This is live patience.
No.
Too funny.
First of all, the CrossFitters, they're the ones who do like 100 like arm pull, like people who like know about exercise.
I
and know
told you
about-
he was a bodybuilder.
Well, people who know about exercise see CrossFitters and they're just like, that is the dumbest way I've ever seen.
And
do
CrossFitters
exercise
hate all
ever.
of them.
Yeah,
back.
because you're not supposed to that exactly.
Okay,
When they
That's
do
a
that,
pull-up.
like that pull-up thing
The
where they go
pull-up
like,
Yeah, that's a pull up for them. Like it's like
Okay.
okay, yeah.
My point is, you use a lot of very small muscles in yoga in a lot of positions that you're not used to using in other. It's like anything else. If you only do yoga and then you start, so like in yoga, you're doing a lot of pushing and not a whole lot of pulling. If you go to the gym and start doing pulling actions, like you're not gonna, like it's gonna be hard, you know? So it's just like that thing.
It's
Like
an ebb and a flow.
it does build up a lot of core strength in yoga if you're doing it properly and you have a good instructor who's telling you how to do the postures appropriately. It builds up a lot of core strength, which is imperative to your spinal health and your back and hip strength, right? So very beneficial in the long run. And lots of other reasons, like I said, like blood flow and just your nervous system, all the ways that stress affects us. It's a mind, body, spirit practice, connecting all of those things together. And it's so beneficial. Like I have no hate on yoga as a practice. I hate like what people have done to yoga.
No, you hate what the corporate structure has done to yoga.
I hate what the corporate structure's done to everything.
And there you go.
I voted for Bernie Sanders. Everybody.
Journey Danders?
And I will continue to. I want to see the system change in general and be more fair for everybody. Like everyone should have access to yoga, regardless of how much money you have. Like for real. Like, cause my experience in a studio is predominantly older white women and some white men. And very few and far in between that. And that's in a city that is like, well, okay, I shouldn't say that
It's
totally,
literally like
because
98%
obviously there's like a huge Hispanic population here. But if you look at yoga as
No, it's Mexican.
yeah, and if you look at yoga as like a bigger thing, like then it's definitely mostly white people. That's how it came to America, though. Like it was literally brought here and sold to Hollywood. So like that's what happens, right? That's the standard. And I just want to see all of this stuff, all of our health, like mental, emotional, physical health, be accessible for people. It's like why I want to focus on the trauma-informed stuff and the kids and teens yoga, like just really getting people in the space where they have those tools at an early age. And even, yes, like special populations, like that's really like I teach about it, but it's not my specialty group, but like giving it to people who could really use it, like seniors or people who are going through cancer treatments and don't have like a whole lot of access to physical activity or human connection.
Or maybe they even used to do it and then like they can't anymore. Like it would still be nice to have like some sort of class that like at least, you know, maybe physically they can't do it, but they used to practice, and at least to have that like that comfort of like, okay, I'm attending this class. Like I know it's not the same, but I still enjoyed the experience of being there. And like,
I mean, like I truly believe in it. Like,
I don't want to feel like I'm physically incapable of like attending even a yoga class now. Like that's totally fucked up.
It is. And like that's why like I really believe in the power of yoga to help people on their healing paths and their journeys. And like that's why I want it to be accessible to people. And I don't want people to feel like, oh, if I use blocks, then I'm like not good enough, and I don't like.
All right, so I won't use blocks, or I will use blocks.
They are the floaties of the yoga world.
You're not just the only. You're not the only one. Like so many people feel that way, and it's like because of what they like the pressures of going to a yoga studio feel
and
like.
Honestly, that's what it is, because like I feel like if
there's so many people who feel that way. Trust me, like I hear it all the time.
It's kind of like a jock mentality of like I think of like if I go there, it's like well like there's gonna be this guy. I have the man bun now, but like before I'd be like, oh, it's gonna be some guy in a bun with a tank top. Like
that's a yogi. That's a yogi.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But like he's gonna be there, and then like he's
a lot
gonna
of the guys wear leggings
he's gonna
now.
Be, like doing all these like when he like stretches out back, he's gonna go.
Oh my god, they do that though. There's some guys.
Yeah,
like,
but see when they do that, that's when you tell yourself
stereotypical. But there are people who do that.
But that's when you tell yourself in your head, it's like, you know what? If I saw that dude, I'd probably fuck him up though.
And I would.
Yeah. So there's just like, okay, you do your.
Yeah. My point is,
I'd be doing the same breathing, but just because I'm struggling on the blocks.
My point is that yoga shouldn't and doesn't need to look a certain way for people to get the benefits out of it, and I just. At this point in my journey with yoga, like that's what I want.
I don't want
to be putting into the world.
I don't want to speak for you, but I think that maybe what you're trying to say is like, you shouldn't be deterred from doing yoga at all, no matter what. No matter what walk of life or circumstances. Like yoga should be something that is completely, like you've been saying this whole time, accessible.
It should be like literally. I tell all my students this is like to know yoga is to know your breath. And if you can tune into your breath when you're doing a posture, and if you have not been able to keep a steady inhale and exhale, like if you start huffing and puffing and not taking full breaths, then you've gone too far into the pose and you need to back out of it. And that could vary from day to day. You could be very capable of going deeper into a pose one day and not the other day, right? Just depends on what's going on in our lives and our bodies. But the point is that, like, if you're not doing the breath, you are not doing the yoga. Like, if you're not doing the breath, then you are just stretching and you're just doing physical activity and whatever. Like, the yoga is the breath. Like, energetically speaking, the breath moves your life force energy. Like, pranayama is breath work, but prana means
oxygen.
Pranayama means life force energy in Sanskrit, life force. So this is your soul energy being moved through your body, as well as just like, yes, like whatever type of healing energy, oxygen moving through your body, and you're doing that with the breath. So like, that's the yoga. Like, it's not about looking a certain way or doing the pose a certain way. It's about being able to breathe. So yoga for me one day could just be sitting and breathing. And that's the yoga today. Like, right? Like, so it should be for everybody, like 100%. And it shouldn't deter anybody out there who wants to try it. Like, if they don't think that they look like a yogi or can dress like a yogi or can afford to be a yogi.
Blocks.
Yeah, or have to use blocks. It's like, I have some really nice ones you could use, or I can get you some nice cork ones. They're microbial. Is that the word? Antimicrobial. So they like clean themselves, the cork blocks.
Okay.
You'd like it.
Use
It'd
Lysol,
be good for you.
motherfuckers. We're in COVID-19 times. This shit, Delta variant. Use Lysol. Self-cleaning blocks and shit.
When's your next? Are you doing like classes anytime soon? Or?
I've only been doing very like small private sessions, and like I said, mostly with teens. But
let's take a class with her and do it as.
I'm totally willing to, like, if people need to reach out.
I feel like yoga is very like certain exercises are very geared towards people of certain wavelengths. This is where you get into like the whole wavelength thing.
Yeah.
Certain exercises are geared towards people with certain wavelengths, and I am not geared towards yoga. I need the fucking loud music. I need the fucking like going to the gym. I need to sweat. I need to fucking like go hard and go crazy.
That's understandable.
Jennifer, she needs to chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
And like, mellow out and blah, blah, blah. But I can't like, because I'll be sitting there like, doing the yoga. And
he has tried. I know you've tried.
I've tried like multiple times, and it's just kind of like, and I was like, all right, afterwards I need to go to the gym. Like it's a hard workout. It's hard as shit. Like sitting on your, like you're in it's an easy pose for them. But for me, it's a hard ass pose. I'm super like top heavy. I don't know what it's called, but like your butt's in the air.
Down dog.
Down dog. And my triceps and shoulders are going fucking
the one
crazy.
Pose everyone knows.
Yeah. And my triceps and shoulders are going fucking crazy. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Get off it now. And it's just like.
All of it's super hard on your triceps.
Yeah.
Sure.
But like my shoulders and triceps are going nuts. And it's like, no, I can't do this shit. And it's like, it's slow, it's calm, it's chill.
Yeah.
But like.
There's different types of yoga out there. And there are more physical, like, faster paced, more geared towards like physical strength and core strength yoga classes. If you look for something, everybody out there who wants that, power yoga tends to be more like that. Sometimes you do hold postures longer in that type of class, but
that's even harder.
A lot of those are all like vinyasa style classes where you're flowing and moving a lot. And most of the time those classes have like louder contemporary music, and it's a little bit more upbeat.
Yeah, but I'm like
there's something out there for everybody. I'm just like, saying, if you want to try again.
I'll show you like that wavelength thing, like someone like who's like who can bring themselves down to that level.
There's a lot of people who just can't sit there.
Who can't hang.
I get it. There's a lot of people who can't just sit
there.
Some
people can't hang, dude.
Yeah, I just can't.
No, it's not that. It's
I'm joking.
That's that douchey shit that keeps everybody out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what keeps everybody out.
Don't fucking come to my class, bro.
Hey,
yeah, you're that guy. You're that guy.
Y'all. Kindness, non-violence. We're yogis
not
today.
Not EP Fitness.
We're yogis
today.
Check your egos, boys. Calm down. Okay, we're gonna be peaceful little yogis today. No, but I get that, and I talk to a lot of people who are typically more high anxiety people, and sometimes they like the yoga, sometimes they just can't get themselves to like stop and focus on it. And it just depends. Like it's a practice. It takes time to train your brain to slow down and to focus on something other than all your thoughts.
Sunday meditation days, those were the shit. when like she used to walk around and like put oil on you and just like get to
Yeah,
hang
so
out
he
and, like,
likes
really
that,
do
but he
shit.
won't do a pose.
Because you just get to hang out. It's like it's super relaxing. 'cause-
Yeah, so you do yoga like that then.
Oh, okay.
Do the relaxing stuff.
All right,
There's
yeah.
there's tons of stuff like that. And then you could go to the gym and like lift some heavy weights, bro.
Pick shit up and put it down.
Bro it out.
Okay, so shout out your Instagram, your jewelry Instagram, and your personal Instagram for
Yeah, I don't have a
yoga stuff.
I don't have a strictly yoga Instagram. I incorporate that into my personal one. So my personal IG is at LyssaCat320. It's been the same since college, so sorry, I'm never going to change it. That's LYSSACAT 320.
Mm-hmm.
LyssaCat320.
Mm-hmm.
My jewelry page is at Salome Jewelry Design. Salome Jewelry Design. Yeah. Yeah. The website is Salome Jewelry.
Spell it out.
No, what do you mean?
Salome.
It doesn't sound.
Can't
it
you
doesn't-
link it
it's
at
not
the
spelled the way
bottom
that
of this video?
Yeah. I'll put a
Salome.
link in the description. in the bottom
Salome
of
is the harder
video.
part to spell. It's SALOME Jewelry Design.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so
All one word.
there will be a link in the description.
No
Actually, we
underscores.
should have worn like some of her jewelry for the podcast. I feel like that would have been cool.
I have some, but they were hurting, and I had my rings on, and I forgot them. I took them off to wash my dishes, but I wore some.
Do they have to be pierced to wear them?
They hurt with my little headphones here.
Do your ears have to be pierced to wear them?
Maybe Darren can zoom in and edit it.
Yeah, I can. I could totally.
Excuse me,
can.
editor.
We
Can
take a
you
picture
zoom
of
in?
it right now?
Yeah, well, whatever. They're on my
We
website
could pierce one
or
of
on
our
my
ears for the
Instagram.
Instagram posts.
If you get on my-
yeah,
That's you.
I'll fucking do it.
Yeah. Do it.
Last time they tried, I bled like a motherfucker.
I
so
can
it'd be
make
great.
clip-ons, but I make
No,
them
what?
for
What?
piercings.
No, here, we're the big boys. We're no bitches. You were.
We're just gonna
you were
pierce
straight
your.
up ears,
We're gonna
dude.
pierce Darren's ear with a needle right now. So
No, not right now. What
go.
the fuck? I'm not ready. We'll do it on a future date.
If you go to my jewelry IG, then my website is on there, and there will be a restock very soon. There's only a few things on there right now, but it will be reloaded very, very soon. Restocked.
Right on. So, thank you for coming out. Please
you
like and
guys.
subscribe, and we'll see y'all next time. Cheers and good night.
Cheers and good night. Thanks for letting me talk so much.